You are standing in the middle of a life you spent years trying to build, looking at a landscape that is technically perfect. You have the job, the apartment, the relationship, or perhaps just the quiet stability you once prayed for when your life was in chaos. Yet, as you look at it all, you are met with a cold, terrifying silence. You feel absolutely nothing. It is like looking at a beautiful photograph of a feast when you are starving. It looks right, but it offers no nourishment. You carry a heavy, hollow weight in the center of your chest, a quiet whisper that follows you from room to room asking, "Is this all there is? Why does everything feel so empty?" You feel a deep, isolating shame for your own flatness, wondering how you can have so much and yet feel so profoundly poor. If this is familiar, if you recognize that chronic, haunting sense of purposelessness, that feeling of being a ghost inhabiting your own existence, what you are facing is not a spiritual defect, a lack of gratitude, or a moral failure. According to the psychological philosophy of Dr. Gabor Mate, spiritual disconnection is not a random disease of the soul, it is a biological protective mechanism. It is the ultimate consequence of chronic self-estrangement. When a child is forced to disconnect from their own body, their own feelings, and their own authenticity to survive their environment, they do not just lose access to their pain. They lose access to their vitality. They lose their connection to the present moment, to others, and to the mystery of life itself. Until you understand the biological origin of this emptiness, you will continue to chase external fixes, more achievements, more relationships, more spiritual experiences, trying to fill a void that can only be healed from within. This is not a video about esoteric theories or quick-fix mindfulness. This is a journey into the somatic roots of your alienation, designed to help you understand why you had to turn down the volume of your life, and how to gently guide your soul back to its natural state of aliveness. For generations, we have treated spiritual and existential emptiness as a philosophical problem or a lack of religious discipline. We are told that to find purpose, we must search outside ourselves, we must find a passion, join a community, or adopt a set of beliefs. When those external pursuits fail to quiet the hollow echo inside us, we assume we are simply fundamentally broken. But Gabor Mate's trauma-informed work consistently redirects our focus from the symptom of emptiness to the history of our adaptation. From a somatic perspective, spirituality is not an intellectual concept or a set of dogmas. It is a physical state of connection. It is the biological capacity of the human nervous system to feel connected to its own physical body, to the natural world, to other human beings, and to the deep flow of life. We are born with this capacity fully active. An infant does not have to learn how to be connected to the present moment. They inhabit it completely. But to remain in this state of connection, the child's environment must be safe, stable, and emotionally attuned. If your caregivers were chronically stressed, distracted, volatile, or emotionally absent, your developing nervous system was forced to make a devastating choice. You had to choose between your attachment, your connection to the people who kept you alive, and your authenticity, your connection to your own feelings, boundaries, and bodily sensations. When these two essential needs conflict, attachment always wins. A child will gladly abandon their authenticity to secure their attachment. If showing anger brings criticism, you learn to suppress your anger. If expressing sadness made you a burden, you learn to silence your grief. If having needs caused tension, you learn to become small, convenient, and quiet. The body remembers what the mind was forced to forget. The tragedy of this survival strategy is that you cannot selectively numb your emotions. When you turn down the volume to avoid feeling the pain of neglect, anger, or fear, you also turn down the volume on your joy, your curiosity, and your capacity to experience awe. You built a personality around your numbness, mistaking your flatness for peace, and your chronic busyness for passion. So, when you search for meaning in your adult life and find only emptiness, it is not because life is purposeless. It is because you are still running the old survival contract of self-abandonment. You are trying to find spiritual connection with a nervous system that is still holding its breath, terrified of what will happen if it lets down its guard and actually feels the world. Let us look at 3 profound patterns of spiritual disconnection that keep us trapped in an empty life. And the third pattern is the deepest, most quiet loop of all. But before we reveal the first pattern, there is an anticipation you must hold. We often believe our emptiness is a sign that we need to find something new, when in reality, it is a sign that we are refusing to feel what is already there. The first pattern of this alienation is the performance of aliveness. You are someone who is incredibly active in your search for purpose. You collect accomplishments, you set goals, you travel, you change careers, and you buy things that promise to make you feel inspired. On paper, your life looks dynamic and exciting, but the moment you achieve a goal or the moment the vacation ends, the emptiness returns. You feel a sudden, devastating drop in your stomach. A quiet panic that realizes that the milestone you fought so hard for did not actually change how you feel inside. According to Dr. Gabor Mate, this is the tragedy of the adaptive self. If you grew up in a home where love was conditional on your performance, where you were praised for your achievements but ignored when you were simply being yourself, your nervous system wired success to survival. You learned that to be loved and safe, you had to be impressive, useful, or perfect. As an adult, your goals are not your authentic desires. They are the survival strategies of a child trying to earn the right to exist. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means your mind learned to protect you. That relentless drive to find purpose through achievement, that is not passion. That is intelligence in service of survival, using external validation to mask the terrifying silence of your own self-abandonment. You are treating your life like a business transaction, hoping that if you compile enough external proof of your worth, your body will finally believe it is allowed to exist. But no amount of doing can ever heal a wound that was caused by a loss of being. And this is where the spiritual search takes an intellectual turn, leading us into the second trap. The second pattern is the intellectualized search for the sacred. You spend hours reading books on philosophy, listening to podcasts on psychology, studying spiritual traditions, and analyzing your own mind. You can describe your childhood wounds with perfect clinical precision. You understand your attachment style, your nervous system states, and your personality type. But despite all this knowledge, your actual daily experience of life remains completely flat. You are like a person who has memorized the entire menu of a restaurant but has never actually tasted the food. From a trauma-informed perspective, this mentalization is a protective fortress. When a child's physical and emotional environment is unsafe, staying in the body is intolerable. If your body was filled with the high-voltage energy of fear, grief, or anger that you could neither fight nor escape, your nervous system had only one defense. It pulled your awareness out of your flesh and moved it into your intellect. The body remembers what the mind was forced to forget. You learned to live entirely in your head because your head was the only place where you could analyze, organize, and control the chaos. Not because something was wrong with you, because something was wrong with what happened to you, and your brain learned that feeling your physical body was too dangerous to tolerate. Your obsession with spiritual theories and mental analysis is not healing. It is the adult version of that childhood escape hatch. You are using the intellect to analyze the lock, hoping that if you understand the lock well enough, you won't actually have to open the door and feel the raw, unpredictable grief that is waiting on the other side. But before we reveal the final pattern, there is an anticipation you must hold. The last pattern is the one that is most frequently disguised as a deeply artistic, sensitive, or spiritually profound personality. The third pattern, the deepest one, is the addiction to unmet longing. You live with a chronic, quiet preference for the state of missing something. You are drawn to people who are emotionally unavailable, careers that are just out of reach, and dreams that can never quite be realized. When someone gets close to you, or when a quiet, stable peace is offered to you, you immediately feel bored or anxious. You find a flaw, you pull away, or you pick a fight, sabotaging the connection so that you can return to the familiar, sweet pain of yearning. You tell yourself that you are just a romantic, a seeker, or an eternal wanderer who belongs in the search. But according to Dr. Gabor Mate's clinical insights, this chronic longing is the somatic footprint of emotional neglect. If you grew up with parents who were emotionally distant, unpredictable, or unable to meet your deepest needs for attunement, your nervous system calibrated itself to the feeling of missing. To your young body, the pain of longing was the only baseline it knew. You wired the sensation of reaching out for someone who wasn't there to the concept of love itself. As an adult, your body treats quiet completeness as a threat because completeness is unfamiliar. That is not weakness. That is intelligence in service of survival, protecting your attachments in childhood by ensuring you never expected more than your environment could give. But the cost of this survival is that you spend your entire life in a state of voluntary exile, choosing the safety of a hollow heart over the terrifying vulnerability of being truly met. You are not broken. You adapted. You survived environments that asked you to go numb, live in your head, and long for love from a distance just to keep the peace. Your chronic emptiness, your intellectualism, and your addiction to longing are not proofs of your inadequacy. They are the living monuments to your resilience. But you do not have to live in exile anymore. To heal the spiritual disconnection that makes everything feel empty, you must stop searching for purpose as if it is an external object to be found, and start practicing what Dr. Mate calls somatic return. The single most powerful spiritual practice you can engage in is to stop running from your own emptiness. The next time you feel that heavy, hollow weight in your chest, the flat boredom, or the urge to panic, you must stop trying to solve it with thoughts. You must stop trying to write a story about why your life is purposeless. Instead, you must drop your attention from your racing mind down into your physical body. Locate the sensation of emptiness. Feel the physical shape of the hollow space behind your ribs, the tightness in your throat, or the flatness in your belly. Place a hand over that physical space. Take a deep, slow breath into that tightness and speak to your own body with the unconditional tenderness of a loving parent holding a frightened child. Say to your own physical sensation, I feel how empty we are right now. I feel how quiet and lonely this space is. It is okay that you are feeling this. I am right here with you. I am not going to try to fill you up, and I am not going to run away. When you offer your emptiness compassion instead of condemnation, you are doing something revolutionary. You are providing your body with the safety it has been crying out for since childhood. You are showing your nervous system that you are finally strong enough, mature enough, and safe enough to hold your own grief. You are teaching your brain that the quiet is no longer a threat. And in the presence of that safety, the somatic volume dial naturally begins to turn back up. This is slow, gentle, and quiet work. It will not change your biology overnight. You will still have days where everything feels flat. You will still have moments where you slide back into overachieving, overthinking, and longing. But with every small choice to stay with your physical body instead of running to your head, with every moment you choose your own authentic presence over a cheap distraction, with every slow breath you offer to your quiet heart, you are rewiring your brain. You are showing your cells, your heart, and your breath that the storm has passed, the war is over, and you are finally safe enough to come home. The same body that learned how to go numb to survive is fully capable of learning how to rest in the quiet sunshine of your presence. You do not have to fight your nature anymore. You just have to let it come back to life. Which of these three patterns felt the most familiar to you in your daily life? If conversations like this feel valuable, consider subscribing. There is nothing more transformative than understanding the story your body has been telling all along. Self-understanding will not change your past, but it can change the way your past lives inside you. And that changes everything. The hardest part of healing from spiritual emptiness is realizing that the void isn't a sign that life is meaningless. It is the space where your authentic self has been waiting for you to stop running. Which of these patterns have you been carrying, and what is one gentle way you can offer your body permission to sit with the quiet today? The spiritual void. Why everything feels empty. Spiritual disconnection roots.